Liberdade, a unique Asian-influenced neighborhood in the city of Sao Paulo. Also known to have one of the largest Japanese populations outside of Japan. As a Chinese Canadian first time visiting South America, I went in with a very curious mind, excited to soak in whatever Liberdade had to offer. Main questions in mind included, was this place actually worth the hype? What can a non-Portuguese speaking foreigner expect in this area? And as a hungry traveler, the most important question, how is the food? What's good everybody, this is CP and I'll be your crappy tour guide for today. So let's not waste any more time and 走起吧. As a first timer in Sao Paulo, I stayed on Paulista Avenue, one of the most central places in the city. Sometimes known as the Fifth Avenue of South America, it is one of the most tourist-friendly and vibrant neighborhoods to stay at for first-time visitors in Sao Paulo. I will go into more details about Paulista Avenue in another video, so make sure you wait for that. There are several ways to get to Liberdade, but in my opinion, taking the subway is probably one of the top ways to get there, as there is a train station that literally gets off right at the location. From experience, I would say taking the subway is something one should experience at least once in the city, mainly because Sao Paulo has a world-class subway system, and trying to navigate through it in Portuguese was a memorable experience.
Here's a look at the map. There's a lot of stops and a lot of lines, so you really have to know your way around.
In many ways, the experience reminded me a lot of hustling and taking the subway in major cities like Hong Kong, Singapore, or New York. Before coming to Sao Paulo, I was a bit concerned about the safety of taking public transit. Perhaps I was brainwashed by reading the many negative reviews online, but quite frankly, I felt very safe riding the train, especially during work hours. I did get a few random looks since there weren't many people on the train that looked like me, but to be honest, I felt safer on the Sao Paulo subway station than in a city like New York. Overall, there is a lot to see in Liberdade. The vibe is completely different than most parts of Sao Paulo. The streets, stores, and layout definitely resemble parts of Japan. My first overall impression was that I actually forgot I was in the middle of Brazil and not some random street in Asia. Overall, the area had a high concentration of Asians, so I felt like I fit in better than most parts of the city. At the same time, it was a bit of a culture shock because it was my first time seeing so many Asian Brazilians. In some ways, Liberdade felt like a mix between a Japanese district and a Chinatown, with a little bit of Brazilian twist added to it, if that makes any sense. And to be frank, the language barrier was quite real. Not a lot of people I encountered understood English, and I had to rely on Google Translate a lot. If you want to stay up to date with all my videos and watch me make a fool of myself in random destinations, make sure you subscribe right now, and I'll love you forever. I promise. Personally, I'm not a huge foodie, but the food in Liberdade has to be one of the biggest attractions. So if you are into Asian food, this is the place to hit up in Sao Paulo. It is literally a melting pot with many different types of Asian and Asian fusion food. And to be honest, I don't think having one meal there is enough. I'm not gonna lie, but during my 1 week stay in the city, I went back 3 times and had 4 meals there. One of the highlights of Liberdade is the Sunday market. There you can try all types of Brazilian and Oriental dishes. It's not the biggest and can't be compared to something like the Richmond night market in Canada. Make sure you watch that video too. But they still have a good variety of vendors serving authentic food that is hard to find elsewhere in Brazil. The upside is the food is a lot cheaper than places like the Richmond night market, so you can definitely get more bang for your buck.
I'm finally here and there's a lot of random food around, so we'll go see. food. This is a melting pot right here. Lots of good food, but lots of random stuff as well. Not only Japanese food, but a whole bunch of different food as well. This reminds me of Mongkok in Hong Kong. It's like the back streets of restaurants as well.
I hit a popular ramen place and an all-you-can-eat buffet on the district. Overall, the food quality was pretty decent, but price-wise it was pretty expensive by Brazil standards. I will go deeper into the food in a separate video, so make sure you subscribe and wait for that video. Aside from restaurants, there are also several snack bars and small shops for desserts and coffee scattered around the district. So it might be a good idea to save some stomach space to wash down your meals with either a bubble tea, coffee, or ice cream after. And this one, I use J as my name, just like J Chow. Yeah. This thing is huge. Oops. This costs about 15 reals and it's pretty big. But I'm gonna try it out right now to see if it tastes good. The jelly's okay, but this thing doesn't really taste like the typical bubble tea you find in Taiwan or Vancouver or I guess anywhere in the States. It kind of tastes like yogurt and a little bit of milk mixed together. So yeah, that's that. But it's something different. So, and once again, this is the place, Bubble Kill. Overall, there are some pretty interesting shops around the district, especially if you are into Asian products. But if you have been to any major city with a decent Chinatown, you might find the stores and products to be quite generic.
So let's go into the Sogo Plaza shopping.
There are also indoor markets that resemble the ones you find in Asia, where they sell knockoffs, alternative goods, and any mass-produced product in China.
K-pop stuff. K-pop.
And another thing I noticed was that a lot of them were Chinese. So if you speak Mandarin or Cantonese, you might be able to bargain for better prices. The Jardim Oriental is another popular attraction in the district. It looks flashy on the outside and attracts a lot of people. But once you are inside, it is somewhat underwhelming.
So here I am at the Jardim Oriental garden. So it's sort of like a little taste of Japan. Opens from 10 to 4. So let's check it out.
Maybe it was under construction when I was there, but to me it was pretty much a small garden with a little pond and a few trees. So if you are stressed for time and not into the whole garden scene, I wouldn't waste time going in. I'm not gonna lie, but the evening scene in Liberdade is literally night and day compared to the mornings and afternoon. The district can get pretty dark and quiet on weeknights, so I don't recommend walking around there by yourself, especially if you are not comfortable in this environment or don't know any type of self-defense or martial arts like Donnie Yen. Overall, it seems like it is a lot safer to go during busier hours, especially on weekends and during the day. Broadly speaking, my overall impression of Liberdade is that it is worth a visit if you want to have some Asian food in Brazil or find some Asian groceries for home. But if you compare it to other China or Japanese towns around the world, you might be slightly disappointed. It is not the most photogenic place either, so it might be hard for you to get good photos to flex on IG. Quite frankly, if they didn't have as many restaurants or food in the district, and if you don't care much about Asian food in Brazil, then Liberdade is probably not a must visit in Sao Paulo. If you enjoyed this video and want me to be your crappy tour guide for other places around the world, make sure you click the links right here to watch more. So let's not waste any more time and 走起吧!